In this video, we'll cover how to do the perfect CELPIP speaking answer, something you can actually implement in all 8 speaking parts that follows the marking criteria. Here's the breakdown you've been waiting for. Here is the first question. This is the question we have. Your friend wants to start a new business and is looking for some advice on how to go about it. Advise him or her on what you think she should do. What kind of question is this? This is our typical CELPIP Speaking Part 1 question. You get this right, you build a lot of confidence to get started. Here is how you have to start. Hey Sarah. Now, hey Sarah, informal. How's it going? I cannot begin to tell you how excited I am to hear about your ambitious business goals. It was news to me when Kara told me about it, but I'm here to help. I have a few suggestions for you. Now, this is the intro before you get into your suggestions. And in the intro, there are a lot of great things happening that are giving you marks left and right. Let's analyze these. First of all, look at the blue marking here. Hey, Sarah. Very casual. It's not hi, Sarah, hello, Sarah, or dear Sarah. That's not how we talk to friends. We say hey, informal. How's it going? Again, these are your marks for your tone. Keep it informal. And you could also say, how are you? But how's it going is more casual and it's more unique, which will give you more marks. Let's look at the other elements, why we're getting more marks in this answer. We say, I cannot begin to tell you how excited I am. And later on, we also have this yellow highlight. It was news to me when Kara told me about it. So these kinds of phrases are advanced phrases. I cannot begin to tell you. It was news to me. These are not things that are mentioned on a list and you can memorize them and copy paste them in every type of question. These are learned through months and sometimes if you're an expert, maybe weeks and sometimes years. This is casual conversation, and these kinds of phrases are heard when you talk to people, when you listen to Canadian or American TV shows, but these are advanced phrases. They're much better than you simply saying, I am excited, right? But if you say, I cannot begin to tell you how excited I am, it's more fancy, more advanced. So if you can use those advanced phrases, make sure to do that. And later on in this video, we'll cover how you can implement these strategies. But right now, these things are giving you more marks, as is the flow. Here we have, I have a few suggestions for you. So before you get into your actual suggestions, you're going to start saying later, firstly, secondly, thirdly, you build the flow. Don't just say, I'm here to help. Firstly, do this. I'm here to help. I have a few suggestions for you. And then you start with your first suggestion. And this is the first suggestion, then we'll break this down as well. Firstly, having done some business myself, I can tell you it's no walk in the park. Be ready to deal with a lot of fluctuations and unprecedented outcomes. Something like a 50% change in monthly revenue would need to be treated as a normal occurrence. This is what the business world is about. It's nothing like a bi-weekly stable paycheck. Wrapped up nicely, explained nicely, but other than just how it seems, there's a lot of detail going on, which we're going to analyze right now. So firstly is once again the mark for your flow. You're building a good flow. Firstly, secondly, thirdly, we have some connectors for the later suggestions too. Then we have having done some business myself. Now this is in a green highlight. So what this shows you and tells you is I am using a complex sentence here. It goes like this, having done some business myself, comma, and this is the other part of the sentence, I can tell you it's no walk in the park. When you have two clauses in one sentence, it becomes a complex sentence. And you can start that sentence by having, while, considering, due to. These words are going to help you build two clauses and get marks for your complex sentences. Walk in the park, idiomatic expression. The more of these you have, the better. Now in this whole answer, this is the only one that I used, and you don't need more than one per answer. But if you can use idiomatic expressions, it says in the marking scheme, you will get more marks. So try where you can, and these are things like raining cats and dogs, dodge a bullet, piece of cake. So things that you can use casually in a conversation, but also naturally. This also takes a little bit of a practice. We're going to discuss that later on in this video. Now look at this sentence here, or this explanation, something like a 50% change in monthly revenue would need to be treated as a normal occurrence. That this is what the business world is about. This thing right here is the explanation. The middle of every point that you do is your explanation. And you can see at the bottom of the screen, the format we have per suggestion is idea, explanation, and conclusion. So here we always get started first of all with the idea. This is the main focus in the first sentence you say. Then you go into the explanation, and here you go really into the why and how and the example, exactly how this works. And then you wrap it up with a conclusion, a final statement, final view on the entire topic. It's nothing like a biweekly stable paycheck. This is where a lot of people fail. Task response needs to be elaborated. Explain it really well with examples, with details, with why and how. Always ask yourself, why does this work? How does this work? Can you give me an example to be specific? And that's how you go into a good explanation. Let's go to our second point. Apart from the mindset alone, having backups is always a solid idea. Don't ever rely on just one product or service. Rather, you want to diversify your offerings either with multiple tiers, combined packages, or the same. This way, if one thing fails, you have an other revenue stream to back you up. Once again, guys, we have the idea, explanation, and conclusion. Idea starts right here, having backups. That's the main idea. This is the explanation, how you should do it, how you should have backups, and then we have our conclusion. This way, if this happens, then you have this. This should always be your theme, idea, explanation, and conclusion. Let's see our marks again for flow. Apart from the mindset alone, you also have this thing. So that is our flow because we just talked about the mindset in the first suggestion, and now we're moving to the next suggestion. Later on, we said this way, and here you can say multiple things like consequently, or that's why, or overall. This is your concluding sentence. These are our marks for flow. Also notice how we have the highlight here. So what I want to show you here is this is also a complex sentence. When you start your sentences with apart from, they become complex. So you have one clause here, apart from the mindset alone, and then the second clause, having backups is always a solid idea. Two clauses makes it a complex sentence. Okay, simple. Before we go to our third point, remember, we got to put it all together. So we're going to show you that at the end. And also, how can you do this? That's the most important thing. How can you actually speak and think of all these things and answer? That's coming up at the end of this video. So stay tuned. This is our last suggestion. Lastly, nothing beats knowledge and research. In my car sales business, I ensured not only to research my competitors diligently, but also to study the customer surveys. This knowledge that I back-pocketed allowed me to adapt my offerings according to what the customers needed. And you should apply the same. Let's look at our elements here that are giving us marks. Once again, lastly, builds the flow. It's your connection to the last point. You once again have your idea at the start, knowledge and research. It is explained later. And then you have your conclusion, which in this case is very natural, and you should apply the same. In fact, this is what I want to point out here. You see this whole part here. This knowledge that I back-pocketed allowed me to adapt my offerings according to what customers needed. And you should apply the same. This is not a format. This is not, hey, you start with this, for example, and then you say, that is why, or overall in conclusion. While those are great things, you can use them. You also want to make sure you're natural. You're not robotic in your explanations. So having something like this where you're explaining and just using day-to-day words, but again, making sure that the idea, explanation, and conclusion, those elements are in there, keeping you natural, but also keeping you on the format. If you do that, you're doing a great job. So remember, we have a structure, but don't make it robotic. Keep it natural, but follow the structure. Here you can see not only, but also, once again, green highlights indicating these are, again, my marks for my complex sentence. I ensured not only to do this, but also to do this. Whenever you can do a structure like this, use two clauses in one sentence, you get your marks for complex sentences. which are your marks for your range. Last part, that pretty much sums up my advice. I'm extremely excited to see how you do in the business world. Good luck. How are we getting good marks here? Well, once again, it's a good flow. That pretty much sums it up. And good luck. Once again, this wraps up the entire conversation. So I had my flow from the intro towards the points in the middle and at the end with good luck. I should also add something here with regards to the tone. You can see it's extremely informal. It's also a little serious because we are talking about business. So it's not like, hey, bring some beer, let's have some party. No, we're still talking about the topic. I'm extremely excited to see how you do in the business world. But again, this kind of tone, I'm extremely excited, is what you would use with friends. It's also good to use because we're using adjectives, and we have adjectives throughout the answer, which are also going to give us marks. If this was more serious, I would say I'm looking forward to seeing how you do in the business world or in your business ventures. So according to the question, you want to adapt the template, the words, and get your marks for the tone. Now, this is the final version. You can pause the screen. You can have a look. This is how the final answer looks like. Now, how can you do this? Because when you're speaking, you're not really thinking about all those things. And this is what I want to discuss right now. First of all, things like, hey, Sarah, good luck, take care, goodbye. Greetings should be natural. That's how we talk day to day. So just imagine you're talking to a real person and you'll get that done. Structure. So the intro, conclusion, the 3 points in the middle. This is something you want to study with our templates, with our structure videos. They are included in the links in the description. There are tons of CELPIP videos that I have, but also I have them neatly organized in our CELPIP Speaking playlist. Check that out in the description so you can see how to answer all 8 parts in the CELPIP Speaking test. You have a structure you want to follow to ensure you get all your marks for coherence and task response. Okay, so we know what we got to do firstly, secondly, thirdly. When you're switching in between these elements, pause a little. When you say, I have a few suggestions for you, pause for a second. It helps you relax, take a breath, and also reminds you, I gotta now do this first point. Okay, pause here, 1 second, next point, pause here, and so on. This helps with your tone marks too, because pauses have marks. Plus, it helps you keep focused, and it helps you remember what you have to do at every stage. Okay, something like complex sentences, having done this, or not only this, but also this. There's a list of complex sentences that you want to practice. It's not a big list, it's 9 to 10 complex sentences only. They include things like due to, considering, and so on. If you just practice with those 10 words or phrases, you will be an expert in using complex sentences. Now, I have them explained in our videos on YouTube. You can also practice them at home. If you just research how to use complex sentences, you can do that. But they are included in a lot of detail with a complete vocabulary lesson in our CELPIP 15-hour self-paced course that you can find in the description. That'll really teach you how to use that, and plus the course has a lot of other perks and features. Check that out in the description. Things like idiomatic expressions. These are hard to use. So something like it's, again, raining cats and dogs, dodge a bullet. These things are gonna come with practice. If your exam is 2 to 3 days from today, don't worry about idiomatic expressions. They take weeks, months, or years sometimes. The more you listen to Canadian talk shows, you talk to native speakers, the better this skill gets. Okay, so that's something that you will build eventually. The most important thing, and the thing that will give you the most amount of marks that you can start working on today and you can improve by tomorrow, is the structure of the explanation that I mentioned earlier. So we can go back and have a look. The structure at the bottom of the screen is idea plus explanation and conclusion. Remember this, okay? Every speaking answer you do, whenever you're explaining a point, you want to go with the structure. First, just say the sentence, then explain it, then sum it up. Now, this is a 90-second question, so you have a lot of time in all the points to do this. If it's a short amount of time, for example, I am in speaking task 2, here I'm going to summarize this. I'm going to make it much shorter. For example, I'm talking about my favorite vacation, and my point is about how Greece had the cheapest prices. I'm going to go with the idea. I would say the prices in Greece were extremely cheap. I could afford a burger for just 2 euros. That is my explanation, the example, the 2 euros. And it was a bliss. It was a bliss is the conclusion. So I wrapped it up nicely. So having that idea, explanation, and conclusion structure helps me get my marks in all speaking parts. That's something you can practice right now, and literally you can improve in a few hours. That's it, guys, for this video. I hope this explanation helped, and more importantly, I hope it helped you understand how you can use this in your speaking answers too. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll talk very soon.